How cool is it to see Frankie come up with that interception? A lot of family here. His first career pick. It's probably something he'd been kind of eyeing for a while.
It was awesome just to, you know, somebody in the crimson and gray to wind up with that ball on that play, man. That was extremely special for Frank, because, senior day and, last home game. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't imagine a better ending, you know what I mean? So just extremely proud. I know those are memories that him and the rest of those guys, everybody that took part will remember.
When you look at just the body of work from that game, stopping Bryce Love, I know the Stanford offense is pretty different than Arizona, but what was happening in that game that wasn't happening the week before against Arizona?
Man, that's hard to think about. You're talking about two totally different offenses that do two totally different things. And, I think the biggest thing is no matter who you play, you got to execute. You know what I mean? Because if we don't execute against Stanford, then, Stanford has a good day. If we don't execute against, you pick a team on our schedule, it all comes back to us. It's not really about them. It's if we play well and do what we're supposed to do, then we got a heck of a chance to be successful. If you don't, then that's what you have there. So
they've been pretty successful with Tyler Huntley running the show this season. What's kind of impressive about him? I know he can do a few different things, maybe similar to Khalil in a few ways.
Well, the biggest thing is a running quarterback. A quarterback that can extend plays. Scrambles to throw, you know what I mean, which is tough because those guys on the back end really got to match and stay on their receivers even late in the downs and stuff. It just causes problems for defense because you have to be so sound, you got to be disciplined, and then you get the opportunity, you got to make the play, you know what I mean? So those are never fun quarterbacks to play for defenses. But the good thing is, our guys have done a pretty good job, as the years is going on with keeping guys contained. And, so we're going to go into that game confident. And, again, we have to execute, the calls that's being called in there. And guys got to do their job and got to get a lot of hats to the football.
Does it almost feel like you guys are kind of in a playoff at this point? I know every game matters a lot to you guys, but obviously these are kind of must-wins as far as the Pac-12 race goes, and it's almost like every game you're kind of playing for your lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's conference play. It's November, and I think every team in the country, is probably thinking the same thing. You got to win in November, regardless of how you start your seasons and things of that nature. If you can finish in the month of November, you usually have a good chance to wind up somewhere good, in terms of, bowl game implications and if you're lucky, maybe, a chance at a conference championship game and things of that nature. Our mantra, though, is really just one game at a time and, just focusing on the opponent at hand. I think it's enough people out there that can talk about all the other stuff that don't have impacts on the actual game. So it's our job to kind of avoid that noise and stay focused on each opponent.
You guys haven't been to Salt Lake City in a few years, I think, since Luke's redshirt freshman year. What's unique about that atmosphere in that stadium? And it can get kind of wild, maybe not as loud as an Autzen Stadium or some of the others.
Right. I personally haven't been there. I think only our fourth or fifth year senior guys have been there. But from what I've heard, it's a heck of an environment, very rowdy. I know they got great fan support there. Just knowing some of the other sports and things like that. It's always tough when you go on the road. If you look in the Pac-12, look at away game records for every team in the Pac-12. It's not easy to go into someone else's house and dealing with the crowd, the atmosphere, whatever it may be. And just knowing Utah over the years, Coach Whittingham, those guys have always been about being physical, playing extremely, extremely physical up front, offense and defensive lines. And, those things we got to make sure that we do a good job up front and make sure that, again, we execute and do what we're supposed to do to kind of even the playing field that way.
Do you think this team has had trouble on the road, or has it just been two kind of weird games that happened to be on the road this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, if you lose at home, the thing you can't do is kind of, take one game and let that define you. We're 8-2. We won a bunch of football games here in the last 3 years. We don't kind of hold on to the losses, you know, the same way you don't still celebrate the wins, you know. You just snap in clear mindset, because you're going to have bad games that you pull out. You're going to have good games that maybe the ball doesn't bounce your way. It's football. It's a game, and every time you suit up, one of the team's going to win, one of them's going to lose, and so we don't overanalyze too much, you know, the losses, you know, much after the day after the game, and then we move on from it. So we're just looking forward. That's the cool thing I think about winning, you know what I mean, is that, you know, you're just looking forward to the next opportunity to go out there and play again, just being excited about playing and not so much worry about the result.
Yeah, great. Thanks.